1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Lay It on the Table, the Southern Board Game Podcast with the accent on Southern. It is late April 2026, and I am one of your hosts, Joe Mahaffey.
And I am your other host, James Engelhardt. Good afternoon, Joe. It is a warm day outside out there.
Yeah, and we finally got this really interesting thing from the sky yesterday, last night.
Yeah.
Liquid that fell on the ground. I finally watered my lawn.
Yeah, and it was funny because they were like, oh, it's going to come through and we'll get like 15 minutes. And it settled down here for a couple of hours, which was fantastic.
Yeah, we needed it. You guys needed it worse than we did.
Yeah.
For sure, down there in Greenville.
Yes.
So, yeah, so some crazy fun stuff going on up here. As you know, we've been in the process of adding on to the house, and that finally is well underway, which has created a lot of chaos. We're running around this afternoon trying to get things out of the dining room because this week they'll be cutting through that wall.
Wow.
For the new room, and have to cover things with plastic and take things out of the way. And I'm creating like plastic barriers between rooms so that the dust won't fly into the living room or to the kitchen.
Yep, I've been there.
Crazy stuff, which unfortunately has not allowed Dale and I to really play a lot of games here lately. But I do have a couple that I intend to talk about. But before we get into all of that, I don't know if there's anything in the news that you've seen lately that you wanted to bring up.
I did, and this is just a fun piece. I see a little Bloom report, which is kind of industry news around games and toys. A lot of toy stuff in this one. And this happens every so often. It just always amuses me. So, Pokemon fan funds wedding after discovering he owns 3 rare Pokemon cards. So, this dude in the UK, Surrey, I think, he was digging around in his attic, cleaning up the house, and found his old box of Pokemon cards, I guess, and was like, oh, my God, at least some of these are worth serious coins. So, he went to an auction house and got the equivalent of like $44,000 to fund the wedding for him and his
wedding. That's a wedding fund, all right.
Yeah. So that I love those. I've seen other things that are sort of like that, but I just like it. Fund my wedding with.
It is kind of fun to see stuff like that. So that's a cool story. It's I'm actually going to a wedding next weekend in Idaho.
Wow.
My nephew flying out there Wednesday.
Okay.
So I don't think I know they haven't spent Pokemon money on it.
Well, and the thing that I find interesting about all of these occasional pieces is the sort of relative value of the stuff, these things we own, the stuff that we do. And you look at, 3 Pokemon cards, you could easily just pass that in a hall, right? There's a story from, 15, 20 years ago of a guy who, somebody broke into his car, stole a bunch of stuff, had a dozen board games in there, and left them all. Like, well, thank you for not doing that, I guess. I feel judged, but sure.
Well, it's interesting, too, because, these things tend to have a cycle to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Pokemon card that's worth $40,000 today, in a year could be worth $10. You just never know. I know that's probably not 100% accurate, but my wife tracks these things because back during the pandemic, the hot thing was it was a Corningware. You remember the blue and white Corningware?
Oh, yeah. Like the classic ones from the 70s, yeah.
Vintage Corningware became a thing until it wasn't.
Right.
And what would happen is people would go into the Goodwill and they would take their Google app and they would take a picture of something that they were holding in their hand. The Google app would say, oh, that's selling on eBay right now. $100, and they're selling it at the Goodwill for 10 cents or whatever. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not by much.
Right.
And then we would buy it for the 10 cents and then they'd put it on eBay and they'd make $50 for it. And, their $49.90 profit and not tell the government.
Also a thing. But it's always interesting because these things, bubble markets, right? There's a couple of games about tulips and exploring how that happens. But I think I don't know, it's helpful. The Corningware is a great example. But you could walk past any of our shelves and 9 out of 10 people would just look at them and say, well, that's just a lot of cardboard. And there's a rare, those of us among us would look at us and say, oh yeah, no, that's a hell of a thing. That's amazing. Can I open that up and see what's inside? I always wondered what the first edition of, you know, Cathedral looked like.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I have a first edition printing of Wingspan and a second and a third or whatever.
Yeah, right.
The one that we travel with is like one we bought a year or so ago, and it's completely different on the inside. It's all cardboard. It's all environmentally friendly, which is fine. It's very minimalist compared to the original.
It is.
But anyway, it was just sort of interesting. And a part of that has to do with, repeatability and production. But at the same time, I do wonder about these boxes that I have that actually have numbers on them.
Right.
One of whatever of the first printing, if that would really mean anything at some point.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring up Wingspan. We were had some friends ever played Wingspan because they wanted to learn how to play. So we had a nice time. But yeah, it's those first printings had the plastic bits containers, and the card rack was all plastic, and this is now this sort of very formed, rigid paper. But it feels different, looks different, still works. It's not not a bad thing, and it's far more sustainable. But and I kudos to Stonemeyer and Jamie for pivoting that way. But it's a very different experience.
Well, but I think too the fact that there is this back hobby of people that like to 3D print what they want.
Right.
I mean, if I knew that somebody was going to design something and people were going to be able to download it or either buy it on Etsy or whatever, then why not protect my profit margin, particularly when supply chains can be somewhat unpredictable.
Indeed.
So anyway,
yeah, lots of good things.
But speaking of Wingspan,
yes,
I have a client that I work with, and we were on a call, and he goes, "Hey, I want you to recommend a game that me and my wife should try." And I said, "Well, my wife and I, we started with Wingspan," and I began to name a few other games. He's like, "Nope, just bought it." Okay.
Then
a week and a half goes by. We're on another call, and this got everybody on the call. He's like, "Joe, Wingspan. That was a steep learning curve." I was like, was it?
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, and I remember the first time that we were trying, when you have no game IQ, in the sense that we mean that, I guess I should say.
I like to think of it as a game literacy.
Yeah, yeah.
You have the background for it. You know what you're looking for.
I mean, it's probably more like an EQ, emotional quotient. But you can say I speak game.
Mm-hmm.
I forget about that, and I think of Wingspan so accessible because 9 times out of 10 I'm teaching somebody how to play it, not just recommending that they get it. And anyway, so
and they have those whole script cards in there now, right?
Yeah.
So this is the first player, your first turn, you do this. Second player, your first turn, you do this, and you sort of experience the game scripted. So you don't have to think, you just have to learn. So that was probably a good idea.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I just thought I would throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because of the construction stuff that's been going on, I don't have a ton to talk about. In fact, the 2 things that I'm going to mention, I actually have not had the opportunity to play yet.
Okay.
But they have shown up, and I will talk about them once we do play them. And,
awesome.
And the first one I'm going to talk about here is the game Endearment.
Mm-hmm.
Endearment is from the publisher Duck Sominum.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same people that have given us like Botany and some of the other. They have a new one. They have a new Kickstarter that we back called the Flower Dragons.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So anyway, just a really great game designer, very beautiful kind of aesthetic. Always got that Victorian feel.
Very much.
And so, as many times as I've been corrected about Obsession being about Jane Austen, only to be told it was no, it's Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, nothing. Endearment is actually a game that is supposed to be in that realm of Jane Austen. In fact, you actually take on one of Jane Austen's heroines in the game.
I love an IP that's in the public domain, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, because I think I shared with you that YouTube video about the Bronte sisters, where the guy, the Northern Introvert, I think is his channel.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think that's right. On YouTube, he walks the Bronte sisters and all that. So I thought that's been kind of an interesting play. But anyway, we've also gone down a Kate Bush realm with that. So we're excited. So it's actually sitting in the other room. It's still in. Not only is it still in the shrink wrap, it's still in the box that it came in. And Dale's like, "You should do an unboxing."
There you go.
And I'm like, right, in my spare time here while we're doing this construction. So I might, when I get back from Idaho, I might give that a go.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I might give that a go, since I don't get to go to Gen Con like some people.
I don't get to go to Idaho. I mean, geez.
Well, actually, I'm going to Tamarack. Which is 2 hours north of Boise.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to be in the middle of
nowhere.
This is actually a really good segue. It's in the middle of 2 state parks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a national one it might even be a national forest, and then there is a state park, and we're kind of like at this resort smack dab in the middle. That's what they call a destination wedding.
Yeah, it is.
I'm told. So because of that, I've decided that I'm going to, this is a game, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm there. I am taking my portable radio setup here. This is an Elecraft KX2.
All right.
I'm going to do a park activation and try to activate that park with what is known as QRP, which means I'm going to be very low power.
Okay.
Like 5 watts. And that's very that's the game of one of the gamifications of the ham radio hobby is parks on the air and the awards and the points that you can get for that. And we were talking about Gen Con just a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
Terribly long ago, there was what is known as a ham fest, because of course you got to have that down in Florida. And wouldn't really say a publisher, because
He's
this
in.
guy,
Yeah, he actually does equipment too, right?
yeah, his primary business is he does sort of like accessories, like propane and propane accessories. Not only their ham radio and ham radio accessories, but anyway,
Mm-hmm.
he and his family love board games,
Awesome.
card games notably, and he created a card game called Propagation. And it's a very bespoke, home developed kind of thing, because you get this box that's basically clearly a 3D print.
Yeah.
It holds your cards, and then you open and there's a die, but the box becomes your dice tower.
I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah. So anyway, it is a game. It's a card game for the amateur radio enthusiast.
Mm-hmm.
Players collect QSL points, which is a QSL is you're making contact.
Okay.
I actually have. Do I have it handy? Aha. It is one of the things in the hobby is if you make contact or a QSL, you send somebody a QSL card. So I have my QSL card here that I designed, and I had them printed.
Nice.
And I tell people on the back when we connected, what the circumstances were, etc. So
nice.
This is a little logo I designed on Canva, and then a picture of downtown Pineville, which is where I live.
Oh, awesome.
That's literally that's right across the street from the game store, in fact.
Nice.
Tying all back together.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
have you picked this up? Have you played it, or?
It's in the same condition as Endearment, but I am going to take it to. We have a meeting Tuesday night. I think I'm going to take it to the meeting. But anyway, you roll a 10-sided die. You apply the appropriate band, and the bands are different meters. Typically in high frequency, you go from 6 meter all the way up to 160 meter.
Okay.
I generally play anywhere between the 10 meter band and the 80 meter band because my antennas are optimized for that. And all that really means is if it's a 10 meter band, then the radio signal goes 10 meters before it bounces again across the earth, and 20 meter and so on and so forth. And so you either get a big wave or a little wave, right?
Gotcha.
Anyway, and then they have antennas and other modifiers, and you try to figure out how you can make a contact with all the changing atmosphere propagation issues, hence the name. Because we have this thing where the sun will send out sunspots or release, and that affects communications down here, and they can be a real thing. So, for example, yesterday I was doing Morse code trying to hit somebody in Tennessee. The band was so bad I could not do it.
Okay.
But I was able to make a Morse code contact with Portugal.
Crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, but games, I love it when two hobbies come together.
Indeed.
That is propagation. So as I really get a chance to get into it and see how it impacts reflects the hobby, I will report. So yeah, those are just two things.
How it crosses over the two hobbies, right?
Exactly. So those are the two things that are new to the collection that I still haven't had a chance to get out on the table that I will.
Gotcha.
And go from there. But it's always good to know that while I'm stuck doing these things, that you actually have the time to get out there and play some games. So let's talk about those.
I do, right. So, but neither one of these are in shrink, and I haven't been in shrink for a long time. So, so the first one that I've got here played at game night last weekend, and this is Fields of Green, which is designed by Vangelis Bayartakis. I've heard him say it once or twice, and I'm like, okay, I got to practice how he says this. It's kind of fun. And this is Artipia Games, which I think he's also the director. He's the honcho. This is a Greek game company by that last name. If you didn't guess, I can't help you. So this came out in 2016, and he's also done, I think, Hegemony. What is it? The Battle for Your Class or Lead Your Class to Victory or something like that. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, a year or two. Anyway, that's fairly new. Dice City was another one of his from probably 5 or but it's another, again, it's goes back, again, the cult of the fully cooked. But it's well worth tracking down. So I'll describe it, but I want to go back in time a little bit. So Fields of Green began life in 2012 as Among the Stars. And in that game, you were building space stations. So it was a solid game, but it was not intuitive. I played it a couple times. I thought it was interesting. The graphic design, we'll call it moody. It's a game about adjacency, these little square cards that you're playing down, and patterns in a tableau. And if you're doing this in a space station, it's not always clear what you're supposed to be doing, right? You're like, I don't know what the holodeck is supposed to do versus the whatever else, right? Or do these aliens, should they be next to each other? Should they not be next to each other? How would they? It just, you had to work a lot to kind of get to where the game was. So that was 2012. Over a couple of years of refinement and reimagining, Fields of Green. In this, you're a farmer in the mid-20th century, and the reasons for putting anything near or far away from anything else makes a lot more sense. Water, as opposed to these weird alien energy things, water can only be pumped a short distance away. Hay can be loaded on a truck and driven across the farm with no problem. You're like, got it. You can't refill a water tower. Okay, but you can harvest your fields. Always, right? And cows are great, but it's best if there's nothing else around them. Then they'll give you some money. Otherwise, once you fence them in with other fields, they're like, we don't like it. Fruit trees generate a lot of money, but they also drink a lot of water. So all of this stuff just feels like it just kind of snaps into place. You're like, I'm running a farm in the mid 20th century. This is awesome.
No foxes for the hen house.
Right. Yeah. I think you can get chickens, ducks, turkeys. So there's some fowl to be had there. And it's also a pick and pass drafting game with all of the strategies that kind of come with that. Like, do I want to give this building to the next person over. They don't really seem like they're building that kind of thing, but they may be just like waiting for that to show up. But I don't need it, but maybe, yeah. So you think about all the hate drafting and blocking and all these things. So you'll be laying down various crops, farm animals, fowl. You'll get constructions that make life better for you and buildings that finally give you points. Some equipment tiles that get placed on cards to make those cards better. It's a really smooth pick and pass. The trick to playing the game well is knowing what the cards are, what might be coming up, what's in each particular like animals and buildings and mechanisms and all of that kind of stuff, right? So lots of really great decisions around it. And again, it's a pick and pass. You take the card, you play it down, you pay for it, yeah. And you do that for over 4 years, and you have choices for like which of the kinds of decks. There's 4 different kinds, and you can, I want to get all of, but you don't want to get all of the buildings because the buildings just give you end game scoring, so you don't set up an engine. So you want those early on, the ones that are like fields and that kind of stuff. So super fun, and it's well worth tracking down if you can find it.
Not to be confused with Sting's song Fields of Gold.
Correct. Yeah, but it's...
Is it still in print?
I don't believe it is. Let me go.
The aftermarket.
Yeah, you'd have to find it on the aftermarket, I believe. Let me see. Well, they say it's on Amazon, so it might be available. We'll find out. Let's do some... so Stronghold Games seems to have picked up the license and run with it in the States. So it seems to be available as we speak. So rush right out. I mean, I don't know what if Stronghold did anything to change what the gameplay is. I don't think so. It would be strange.
Yours is a vintage piece.
This is a vintage piece from 2016, yeah. And so... Again, you would walk past this and not think, oh, this is a vintage piece of Corningware that I should.
I've seen it in the store. I mean, I'm looking at the logo. I've seen it in a game store.
Yeah, it's a solid. It's got a 7.1 on the Geek. I think the weight, it's not. They have it as a 2.6 out of 5, and that feels about right. And most of it is like figuring out which cards you want to play and thinking about how you keep. If there's 4 of you playing the game and you start with a hand of 7 cards, you're going to see at least a couple hands twice. Like, will those cards still be there by the time they come back to me? So it's all of that kind of thing, which is, yeah, again, I really enjoy this kind of game where you have your head down. Nobody's really getting in your way when you're putting out your cards, right? But you can make sure that, I see that you need another orange grove to really maximize that bonus card that you've got. I have this orange grove that I'm going to be passing to you, but I also need a water tower. So you know what? We're just going to, yeah. And then people look and go, oh man, that was the orange grove I need. I'm like, oh, that's so crazy. Yeah. No, it's, and it plays, they say 45 minutes, and I think that's right. That's one of the nice things about a pick and pass, because everybody's kind of playing at the same time. And so it moves pretty smoothly until you get the like, oh wait, I picked one. Did I pick a second one? Why do I have 2 stacks of cards here to my left? Kind of moment, right?
Well, let me ask you a question about that, because last time we talked about Trinket Trove and sort of what you and I find about that. And then one thing we don't like about it is that you have that faux third player. It's just a field of green play with 2 players. It
does a whole different market system. So instead of passing it back and forth, it sets out a market and you're picking back and forth. Because there's no point in being a secret, right? So there's like once you hand your cards to me, we both know everything that's in the hand, right? So yeah, so I think the deal is you like flip out like 6 cards and then you go back and forth drafting.
So there's a modification.
Yep, which is, I mean, you're right, because it's tricky to do if you're trying to do 2 players for a pick and pass like this.
Right. That makes sense. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was kind of curious how that was.
And I remember playing with Laura a while ago and like really enjoying the flow of that. It just felt a little bit different in terms of the market, but the mechanical effect was similar, right? That we're both picking one, and then you'd flop out another sort of half market, and then another half market. And when you're done with that, you resolve the end of season stuff.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in the context of how can you get a game out that doesn't require a lot of space and a lot of time.
This does take up space because you're building out a tableau.
Well,
right?
what I mean is, like if Dale and I were going to play a game, like we wanted to play Scythe right now, that's not
Right.
all the construction we have going
Yep.
on. But if we had something like you quickly sit down at the kitchen table and
Yeah, because it's just a couple of decks of cards. You've got the 4 different kinds of cards, and again, what they're fields, constructions, livestock, and buildings. Maybe I think is it. And so you need a spot for all 4 of those, and then you need a deck of the water towers and the grain silos, and then a little place for equipment, which is just these little tiny tiles that go on top of your cards. And then you just have to have enough space for the tableau itself, which again, tableau build. If you're building a sort of, your own little carcass on in front of you, it can take up a bit of space. But it sets up quickly, and the stuff that comes in the box is like this very little pile of cards, but it's a giant box. It's hilarious.
Got it.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have good shelf presence, so that's what they do. Yeah.
Oh, a lot of dead space. You can 3D you can 3D print a lot of plastic and
There you go.
PDF rule book.
Yep. So it's a good one, and it's clearly I'm not alone in this opinion, so that makes me happy.
Well, there you go.
I'm following behind public sentiment very strongly here.
I've seen you do that once.
Yep. And so then the other game is much more recent. So this is, and there's a discussion about how we actually pronounce this thing, Cubitos or one of those two. Pick one. Yeah, Cubitos. And this is John D. Clare. This is an AEG game from 2021, so just 4 or 5 years ago. John D. Clare's done a bunch of games like Space Base, Mystic Vale, Ready, Set, Bet, Dead Reckoning, the recent Mistborn, the deck building game. So, well, lots of good stuff. Yeah, see? So I recognize, oh, look, it's John. Oops, wrong one. It's John D. Clare. I know that guy. So this game is a push your luck dice rolling pool building race game. It's like if Dr. Frankenstein built a creature out of Yahtzee, Quacks of Quedlinburg, and Quest for El Dorado, which I would need another QU name in there somewhere, but this is kind of, you have a very good sense of what this game is. If whatever comes to mind, it's that. And it's, so...
Is there any liar's dice?
No, there's no bluffing, alas. But some paired Perudo, yeah. So you start with a hand, a bag, whatever, with basic gray dice. You roll like 9 at a time. And those basic ones have either feet for moving, in case you needed to wonder what the feet represented, right? And then some coins, these little circular coin little shapes on them, which are sort of like leprechaun money that they have to be spent immediately or they evaporate. And the coins let you buy new dice, which have a variety of effects. Some give you more like permanent money, credits, which are little squares. Some let you move faster, you get more feet. Some let you get rid of weaker dice, and so on, all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you played Quacks or played a deck building game, you know what the kind of stuff that these are doing, right? And some of them let you deal with the effect of busting, because it's not a push your luck if you can't bust, right?
Just like Quacks.
Just like Quacks, yep. So you're racing around a main track, but there's also a secondary track called the fan track. So fans are yelling for you there. And the fan track gets you some good stuff, and you will move on the fan track if you bust. So they'll give you credits, give you more dice that you can put in your pool. So that takes care of some of that pain. And this Yahtzee thing, you roll some dice, you lock some, you keep rolling while trying to avoid busting. You move your figure around the track, picking up some benefits on that main board. And it's a race, so you try to finish first and farthest, because if you're a couple of you are close and one of you goes farther than the other, once you cross the main line or cross the finish line, then that's the person who wins.
Okay.
the dice rolling happens simultaneously. You're deciding what things are doing, but then you do your move in player order. So it doesn't play, and it plays up to 4, I think, and so it doesn't play a lot longer if you're just playing 2 or if you're playing 4. It's really light. It's you have to choose when to stop rolling, and then which new dice to buy. But that's kind of about it. Most of the dice faces are blank, but the more strong dice have fewer actual like pips on them, and so you're trying to figure out what the odds are going to be, and one of the nice things is if you don't succeed, you can just blame the luck, and as you fall farther and farther behind.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
curious though. So when you say that you get the leprechaun money,
Mm-hmm.
you were just using that as a metaphor that it's probably not really
Correct.
described as leprechaun money.
That is correct. Yeah.
And you buy you can buy dice with it. Do you get to use those die right away, or do you have to wait until your next turn before you can actually use what you purchased?
Right. So much like a deck building game, you buy the dice, they go into your discard. When you need to re-roll and you don't have enough, you reshuffle and away you go.
Gotcha.
Yep. And each of the game comes with different cards with each of the specialty dice. So you've got yellow dice or green dice or blue dice, and there's a stack of like 3 or 4 different cards that you can pull from. You can say, we're going to play this guy, this blue one, and the next time we're going to play a different blue card that gives. It's the same dice, but they assign the faces of it different powers, right? Or it's variations of the same power, right?
Based on the card that's put down at the time.
Yep. So you can mix and match. There's a ton of options. There's a bunch of other. There are like 4 racetracks that come in the game, come in the box. It's a really fun, just beer and pretzels-y kind of game. And the art and design itself leans into the goofiness. We've got this guy with the cheese with the lederhosen, right? I mean, this is screaming to you that this is not a serious game, but it is going to be fun. You can get one of the cards that can come out is Smelly Cat, right? Or I think this guy's actually the Big Cheese.
Copyright infringement.
No, it's just a smelly cat. I don't know. Yeah.
Got it. Lowercase s.
Right, indeed. So it leans into the fun, and it's very easy to just kind of sit back and start chattering about something else and go, oh yeah, let's roll dice again. Yeah. So
that brings up a really good point, because a lot of times on this podcast, you'll start off by saying, well, we recently had a game night and we did this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Curious, how do you go about deciding what you want to have on the table at a game night?
So, what I have sometimes in the past had the very heavy table, but this would mean this. So this would mean we're playing like Unconscious Mind or Fea's Swamp or something, right? Where it's going to take us 45 minutes to get through the rules before we can even start playing, and that's going to be another 2 hours after that. And people don't live next door, and they have things they need to do, and so it occurred to me after a while that leaning towards more middle of the road kind of stuff, sort of medium, very slightly above heavy, medium heavy. So Artipia Games, the Fields of Green was a great choice because it's fairly straightforward to teach. It's a 2.6, right? So right in that sweet spot of like medium, and it plays. I mean, it says 45 minutes, which you could do if you knew the game well, but because it's a bunch of newbies, it takes a while to think through, look at the cards, evaluate the cards. How do these start to talk to each other, right? And so I go for that kind of game because I know that people who are coming to my table are going to be pretty literate. So I can say this is going to be a tableau builder. Adjacency is key, and so is efficiency. And they're going, okay, got this. It's going to be a pick and pass. Yep, understand that too. So that helps speed things up. But what I've realized is that I need to have my table end about the same time as other ones do. Their teach will take longer because it's people with a lower literacy, right? And will our games will have more decisions, but they're going to take longer thinking through their own decisions over there. So I think about these kinds of things a lot,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
And do you ever push the rules out in advance, or if there's a how to play video, do you ever send that out in advance just so people have a chance to familiarize themselves?
I did that when we played Nucleum,
Okay.
and it still took 45 minutes of like, because it's one thing, right? If you're watching it, and you're looking at the rules, you're watching play and stuff. It's a whole. It feels different when you sit down with the things in front of you. You go, right. I watched 3 videos. Now here's the object in front of me. What the hell do I do with this? Like,
Yeah, no, I got you. I mean, when we would run the game club for the small group that we did,
Mhm.
I would push the videos out. Like I would really like it if I had in about 3 minutes the guy from New Zealand,
Yeah, okay.
because he's usually pretty good about just kind of giving enough of the gist.
Hmm.
You get everybody together. You can say, okay, and even if the other nice thing about it, if you get there and you have that one person who invariably goes, "Well, I didn't watch it,"
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
and you're like, "Well,
Welcome to my classrooms. Yeah.
it's about 3 minutes.
Yep.
We'll watch it right now."
Yeah.
And I think that I have found that tends to help.
Hmm.
Are you saying that kids show up in your classroom unprepared?
Oh my God. It's always funny too, because like I'll walk in, like half of them have the lit journal out or whatever it is, the reading, they're clearly flipping madly through it. I'm like, uh-huh. You usually participate. I bet I'm not going to hear from you much today. Yeah.
Do you ever take their annual tuition and divide it by the number of hours that they're in your class and tell them how much money they're
I'm like, this is what you're burning right now. I'm going to pull out a couple $100 bills and just like flame it up for you. Yeah. No, but I think, the other thing is I'm trying to think about, because we've had the last couple of game nights, I've had 3 or 4 tables of players, right? So we've got, 12, 16 people. And I am trying to figure out how I can make sure that people are done within like 5 or 10 minutes of each other, which is a hell of a juggling act, right? Like, how do we think we're going to try to do, right? And so I've leaned into these more middle of the road, and I don't know, still interesting, right? I still want that, right? Cupidos is a really fun, like, end of the night. Like, we don't have, let's just roll some dice. Yeah.
You sort of have and everybody's there at the beginning, and then some people leave, and then you got a group that's still there, and you maybe pull out something, and it kind of goes a little later. And
Yep. I think just one is always good for this. There's a game that's getting reprinted called Bring Your Own Book, which requires you to have something of a library at your house, but it's like any other party game where you get a prompt that's like lines from a country music song, or things you would never say on a first date, or
a line from a country music song.
Yeah, right. What not to text your mom, this kind of stuff. But what you're doing is, instead of like having a deck of cards and offering or writing anything down, you have books from your host's house. And then you're just flipping through and looking for, hopefully hilarious quotes, and reading those out. And then after a certain amount of time, everybody rotates, so you don't get the same book for the entire night.
Now, have you and Laura thought about doing that, but only using books that you guys have written?
Right, yeah. Jaws of Life, Bone Willows, yeah. Stone Catchers, yeah. No.
Welcome to the game Narcissism.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be it. But it's fun when people will pick like a cookbook off the shelf. You're like, and hope for something delightfully weird. What not to tell your mom? Braise for 12 hours or whatever. Yeah. So that's what it's those kind of lighter party games. Let's just have a conversation. If someone says, it's finally my bedtime, everybody's like, yeah, sure, okay, we played enough of this and had a good time. Nobody has to win this game.
And you're winding down the semester, right?
That is correct. Last day of class is Tuesday.
Wow. So
Yeah.
really, then you go into May X again?
And then we go into May X. Alas, my class has not gotten its feet under it this time. So I will just be running May X and not running my class, which is a little sad, but we'll try it again next year.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
I don't have enough students signed up for it yet.
I see. So
Yep.
you have to have a minimum to make it work.
Correct.
And if it doesn't happen, you just get that time off?
Yep. I mean, I'm still the coordinator, so I'll make sure that we've got our breakfast, coffee, and
How can people not want to take like college players to board games? Come on. What's
yeah.
wrong with people?
I don't know. It's wild, but yeah, and which is fine because I'm also going up for senior lecturer, so it'll give me time to write all the material that I've got to do for that. So it's all good, right? And I'd have to finish getting my book ready for press, which I need to have done by the middle of May. So I won't have my class, but I will have time to get some stuff done that I need to.
Okay.
Balance, yeah.
I'm curious about that book, but we'll talk about that some other time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll have to get a copy for Strahd's library.
Strahd will definitely need this for his library, yeah. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff I saw in your back deck is all done, it looked like. Or there's a back deck.
That is the kitchen on the hill, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Outdoor kitchen is done.
Excellent.
I put a roof on. The contractors, when they ripped off the old deck, they took the pergola and put it on the new deck.
Okay.
And then last weekend, a neighbor and I put a roof on it because I'm handy like that.
Awesome.
And so that's all done. All the framing is on the all the foundation framing is done, I should say.
Good.
Where the room is going to be and where the decks and screen porch are going to be. Where we need to get an inspection on Monday, and then they're going to start putting down subflooring on the new room and working on getting the roofs on both of them so that they can cut a door in.
Nice.
So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Particularly with me being gone half the week. But it's a good crew of folks.
Yeah.
Very professional. So, but it's just, a little chaotic.
Oh yeah.
You hear lots of banging and noise and all that. But always nice. I'm the guy that shows up Friday after. So I went to the gym Friday morning, and my gym is right next to a Dunkin' Donuts. So and I showed up and I said, "Beware of geeks bearing gifts."
There you go. A deep cut, but yeah.
So I did that, and they seem to enjoy that. And like I said, they're good. It's a good crew. There's this one. He's a kid to me,
right.
20s. I don't know why my camera just shut off.
I know. Yeah. It was like, no. It's now it's going to be laid on the table after dark. There. I don't know.
So I show up. I've been watching this kid all week, and I said, I can't wait for the new edition of the Mystery Men comic book. I hear you're going to be featured. He kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I said, are you not the superhero, the Leveler?
Oh.
I level well. And this guy, I've never seen somebody so obsessive compulsive about making something level. I have no problem with it because it's
sure
me put together, but it's just, and the tactics that he uses to instill levelness when you have 3 2x6s somehow nailed together is fascinating to watch. So these are true, they're not construction workers, they're artisans in their own way.
Right on. Yeah
kind of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I always think there's got to be some kind of surely in doing all of this, there's some kind of game mechanic to take out of what I'm watching and sort of make some sort of
There is a stack of wood out on my driveway that seems to be resources that they are using.
There you go.
So there you go. How about that?
I see, exactly so. You need to build a house, and it has to only have I've got a game now that you said that called Pack and Stack, which is sort of a puzzly 3D building stuff up. You have to roll and get a certain amount of little cubes and lumber and stuff. So
Well, we're at the stage now where we'd just like to see it get done.
Yeah, sure.
Which they've told us will be probably mid-June. So about 6 weeks.
So probably July.
Well, I told him so Dale and I celebrate 35 years on June 29th.
Oh, congratulations.
So it'd be nice if it was done by then. He told me June 15th, so I'm thinking June 30th probably makes sense.
Yep.
But a lot of that, I mean, obviously We haven't had any rain, which has been great getting this part done. We're not getting rain, so now it's a rush to frame and get a roof on.
Right.
And then it's just all the detail work in the bonus room.
Excellent.
Because I can't call it a sunroom anymore. Did I tell you that story?
No.
Well, evidently, when you call something a sunroom,
Okay.
you have given it a legal distinction.
Ooh, okay.
Because they kept failing our permit, and in the state of North Carolina, maybe this is true everywhere, but in the state of North Carolina, the statute says a sunroom is a room with 40% glazing around the outer walls and ceiling.
Okay.
You have to take the square footage of each outer wall and the square footage of the ceiling.
And slightly less than half has to be, yeah.
The glass needs to be 40% or more to be considered a sunroom.
Okay.
Well, we were like 20-25%. And they kept failing us and they wouldn't tell us why. Or they gave us an answer that didn't explain it, that a layperson would understand why.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I ended up taking my engineering drawings, the text of the North Carolina statute, and I dropped it into ChatGPT and I said, explain this to me like I'm 10. Why does this keep failing? And they go, oh, because you're calling it a sunroom and you only have 40%, you don't have the 40% glazing. And I said, well, what would give me the 40% glazing? And it told me all these things I could do, like do skylights instead of roofs. I didn't want to do that.
Right.
And I said, well, what if I just didn't call it a sunroom? Oh, then you would have an enclosed porch and then you're fine. Nobody was telling me this.
That's so crazy.
So the only I said, well, is there a cost difference? And they said maybe because of this, and this. And what the cost differential was, you have to use a higher grade of insulation. We already had a high grade. It's like pennies difference.
Oh, right. Because if it's a sunroom, you're assuming it doesn't have to be insulated as much. But if it's a bonus room, you need to insulate like someone could be there, right?
It has to be heated living. You have to be able to keep it at 68 degrees year round.
Okay.
Which we can do because I was going to put a split unit in it anyway, but now it's officially in there and it passes accordingly.
Awesome.
So it's fine. It's actually better because then they will work. It's better for me because it becomes true heated living area.
Sure.
And whereas if I had left it in a sunroom, it would not be considered heated living area.
Right, because it's now, house and not,
But not until next year,
Fair.
But anyway, that's sort of the world in which we are currently living.
Yeah. And again, this feels like...
But I only had to get my county commissioner involved and get on a first name basis with the head of the land use department of Mecklenburg County.
Okay. But it feels like you're reading like rules from a war game. Like, okay, so this is 4.1.1.2.
Well, it is. I mean, and you don't read. These things are written for people who, just like we talked about. Your literacy. I have no literacy for North Carolina State Code, and so ChatGPT can be your friend.
Yep.
So
that makes good sense. It's also, but yes, I mean, if we're thinking about games as systems, right? But there's some systems that are meant to entertain, as opposed to other systems that are meant to vex. Apparently,
For the record, I was not trying to game the system.
Right. No. Right. Right. Yeah. Sure. For sure. But these are systems that are like, okay, how do I operate within the system? What is the logic of the system? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Right. What do I bring to this game, or what do I bring to this experience? What do I? Yeah.
Well, I will make the metaphor like this. One of the reasons this was so difficult is because Mecklenburg County, like many counties, this is not just a Charlotte Mecklenburg thing, have implemented a system known as the Acela, which I know is a high-speed train in the Northeast, but evidently there's a software called Acela that is for permitting.
Okay.
And, it is not faster because it actually creates a layer between you and the person evaluating your plan.
Gotcha.
And the interaction is through this, I'm just going to call it a ticketing system because that's fundamentally what it is.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But so I did get my county commissioner involved because I live in a part of the county that is not incorporated in any city.
Okay.
Charlotte pretty much takes up like 99.9% of the county.
Right.
So we're like this little schmidgen of just no man's land. And so that when you get into a project like that, that somehow creates confusion for people, and the system wasn't really designed to handle that. It's
unincorporated county. What? Yeah.
So that was part of the issue. So I got my county commissioner involved just because I felt like that was gummed up in the work somehow. And I was being very nice about it. I still go by the adage, you catch more flies with honey.
Yes.
And then finally, when I got declined the third time, I think it was like a Wednesday afternoon, I picked up the phone and I called the head of the land use director that I had gotten to know through the honey process. And he got on the phone with me and my contractor, and he said, fellas, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm old school. In the old days, you'd come in, you'd sit down, we'd look over your permit, we'd tell you what's wrong with it, and we explain it very explicitly. We were able to make some adjustments right there on the fly, and you guys were on your way.
Right.
And he goes, so he set up a phone call the next morning for me and the lady, the permit person who was confused on, or kept failing us, and why we discovered was because of the glazing. I don't want to say she was confused, because she was not. It was confusing communications, what I mean to say. When I got on the phone with her, because I had done all this ChatGPT stuff, about an hour before the call, I got on the call with my contractor. I said, listen, you have to deal with the county on future projects for future clients. Let me be the dumb homeowner that asks questions that will potentially piss people off. And I said, and this is what I'm going to go down the line of questioning. And that's exactly what I did. I said, well, what if we don't call it a sunroom? What if I just call it an enclosed porch? What would be different? And they pretty much answered the same check mark. I was sitting there with my ChatGPT just saying, check, and it was like, but we lost about a month in the process. That's frustrating about it, because we could have been, here we are at the end of April going into May, and we could have been at the end of March going into April, which is really where I thought we would be.
Well.
Well.
Yeah.
You got to make it metric, double it and add 30.
Yep. Yeah. No. This tracks. It's the kind of thing that you're like, well, and it starts to feel Kafka-esque. Like, this is a very helpful, word, but I'm glad that you didn't, in fact, either turn into a bug or get put on trial for something So well done to avoid that.
Yeah, and honestly, it's been very informative.
Oh, sure.
Learning how the process works. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll never use this knowledge again, other than to be able to tell somebody.
Yeah, you can, just fulfill your dad role. That's what you're.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you leveled up in dad, so that's good.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. Trying to keep the game metaphors going here is what I.
Yeah. Well, clearly I'm not bored. I'm clearly not bored gaming.
Just nailing boards is what you're doing here.
I will be activating a park. I'll get some points that way.
This is good.
But I look forward for us getting back together in a couple weeks, since I'm not bored or board gaming.
Yeah, and I hope to see us again in a little bit too. And I am James Engelhardt, hoping all your tiebreakers break your way.
And I'm Joe Mahaffey, and we'll see you guys eventually.
Take good care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
In a world of